Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Ms. Smith, appreciate you being here. Did want to follow up on some previous questions that I'd heard. The question was around whether or not you had protocols in place to be able to actually address whether or not the information was being reported properly internally, but then also to the government entities that are responsible for oversight. And I did not hear you respond to the answer whether or not you have written protocols in place to be able to have a timeline to be able to make sure that the governing bodies overseeing you are notified in a timely manner. Could you address that?
Yes, Congressman. Thank you for that question. Yes, there were protocols in place. The protocol started with when the security individual saw suspicious activity. Protocol number one, he or she shut down the particular portal, started the internal investigation, followed by the traditional protocol that they followed, which is to notify and engage outside cyber forensic auditor, Mandiant, engage outside counsel to help us with the investigation, and then protocols followed throughout all the way to the time of notifying the regulators, AGs, and the consumers.
Looking forward to try and be a little more solutions-oriented, understand and appreciate the comments that you've made, regretting what took place. Are there protocols, are there actions that this Congress might be taking in terms of some of the regulatory bodies to be able to incentivize earlier action, earlier notification, not only to the governing bodies, but also to the consumers as well, that we ought to be looking at?
Congressman, the one thing I had mentioned before I'd love to see both Congress and companies tackle is the concept of, is there a better way to identify consumers in America other than an SSN? It's unfortunate the number of breaches that have occurred over the years has exposed so many SSNs that we're all vulnerable to that. So I'd love to see us engage in that discussion.
Well, in terms of internally, there are some independent, I believe the Wall Street Journal had noted independent groups that analyze the vulnerability of Equifax in terms of what you're going to be dealing with. Do you look at that sort of analysis, and who is responsible for identifying that and taking it seriously to see that patches aren't needed, but we're being proactive to make sure that the breaches do not take place?
Yes, we routinely bring in outside consultants, advisors, to help us check, double check, rethink tactically steps we can take as we've taken since the breach, as well as long-term strategically steps we can take to make sure we're more secure.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, those are the questions that I had. Yield back.
Gentleman yields.